Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Habitat Learn and Ask. I'm super excited for today's event, even though that we are having some technical difficulties. So you may see a few people popping in and out of the screen as I am talking. So I'm just going to talk for a few extra minutes while we do our housekeeping. I'm excited that we also have 5 presenters today. I figured we would kick off our Labor Day weekend with a little Habitat Charlotte Region party to celebrate all that we've done in the last fiscal year and all the things that we're going to do in the current fiscal year. Before we get into that, a few housekeeping things. If you have questions at any point during this event, you can go ahead and ask them in the questions tab, which is on your control panel, which I believe for most people is to the right of your screen. We'll be answering questions at the end of this webinar, but you can ask them at any time. This webinar is a little bit longer than our usual Habitat Learn and Ask. That's because we have a lot to go over. There's a lot of different departments and a lot going in Habitat Charlotte Region. So this webinar is going to last until about 12:30 instead of the usual 12 o'clock, just so everyone's aware. Also, this recording will be on our YouTube page later today. So if you know people who wanted to come to this but weren't able to make it, make sure you tell them to head on over there. Before I introduce you to our guests today, I want to give a little context for this webinar. As I said, it's a chance for us to celebrate all the accomplishments that Habitat Charlotte Region did last fiscal year and talk about our goals for the upcoming fiscal year. But what on earth is a fiscal year? That is a question that when I started at Habitat Charlotte Region, I was like, I keep hearing these words. All I know is a calendar year that goes from January 1st to December 31st. But a fiscal year, at least here at the Habitat Charlotte Region, runs from July 1st to June 30th, and it's used for accounting purposes. There are tax reasons, budgeting reasons, and a lot of other reasons that I could probably spend the entire hour talking about. But just know that when we talk about fiscal year 20, that's July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And wow, a lot happened in that fiscal year. Obviously, we became Habitat Charlotte Region by having 2 strong affiliates, Our Town's Habitat and Habitat Charlotte, merged together. Our affiliate now serves from Pineville all the way to Statesville, which makes us, I believe, the 3rd largest affiliate in the country. We also hit a milestone of serving 2,000 families in the Charlotte area. And obviously, we're dealing with the pandemic. So there's a lot of change, there's a lot of successes, and a lot more. But I'm not here to tell you those things. I have these fabulous people here to tell me these things. So today I have Beth Killius, Vice President of Finance and Administration, Bob Klusenkamp, Vice President of Construction Operations, Shannon Hinson, Vice President of Organizational Advancement and Development, Nakia Savage, Director of Family Selection, and Caitlin Greenwell, Vice President of Retail Operations. So to kick things off, I'm going to send it to Beth, VP of Finance and Administration.
Hello, Habitat of the Charlotte Region. I miss seeing a lot of your faces. As Alex said, I am Beth Killius, the Vice President of Finance and Administration. I head up the finance, HR, and technology teams, most of the behind the scenes work at Habitat. Alex asked us to talk about our successes of the last fiscal year, and I'd like to begin with a huge personal win for me. I had the opportunity to travel to Cambodia with the Charlotte team last year, and it was such an impactful experience. If any of you out there in TV land, whoever's out there, have ever considered going on one of the Habitat mission trips, I highly recommend it. So now back to my teams. I'm going to start with HR. What a year it has been. Julia Gwinnett is our wonderful HR director. She officially joined us on December 31st and found out shortly thereafter that we were going to merge with the Our Towns affiliate at the end of February. So she and Heather scrambled to prepare and onboard 30 plus new staff members with new insurance, new flexible spending, new retirement plan, new payroll, online system, all of that. But they handled it very efficiently and patiently. Then 15 days after that date, boom, COVID hits and we announced that we are closing all 7 of our restores. So the HR team had to facilitate the furloughing of 70 plus employees amidst the very confusing atmosphere of regulations and all. And in due time, they had to bring everyone back again. Of course, there was a number of restore staff that found other positions, so they had to work with Caitlin's team to find, hire, and onboard a good number of new team members. And they succeeded in doing all this while performing their regular, normal job duties. A team of 2 handling 166 employees is very impressive. They were also able to roll out our new PTO plan this year, which was no small lift. So thank you, HR. On to technology. Following a very similar story, Hunter, our one-man technology department, had a lot of accomplishments this year. With the merger, Hunter was responsible for and succeeded in redoing the entire infrastructure of the Cornelius, Mooresville, and Statesville restores and the Cornelius office. Now, all of our sites in the northern region and the southern region operate independently of our main site. And so if our main site ever goes down, which has happened due to power outages and such, that the other locations are not impacted. So that was a big accomplishment. Hunter coordinated the installation of our new phone system and merged the former Our Towns and Charlotte emails into one. Similar to my comments about HR, in the middle of all the merger craziness, Hunter had to pivot to enable all of the office staff to work from home. It was a very frustrating process to begin with, but has certainly smoothed out. We are slowly but surely moving more and more to the cloud with the ultimate goal of getting rid of the VPN system as a whole. So kudos to you, Hunter. Now on to finance. Jolene, our accounting manager, and I welcome 4 new team members earlier this year. Michelle, Eric, Sharice, and Sharon. Hello. Our fiscal year always begins with the audit season. We have 4 separate types of audits. And as exhausting of a process as it is always a very reassuring feeling to get glowing reviews from the auditors that we are doing everything well. And that also is important for our donors and our lenders as well. The merger with Our Towns resulted in a 25% increase in volume of work that the accounting team handles over what it was pre-merger, and that was without adding any staff to help in that respect. So thank you, accounting team. Quite a year. I'm not sure if Bob will mention it, but opening and moving half of our staff to the new building over at 3816 this year was a long-awaited big accomplishment as well. We welcomed our first new outside tenant, Kenny Orthopedics. Some of our other big financial highlights, we successfully closed on a new market tax credit deal with US Bank, which brought in an additional $600,000 in cash to invest in the rehabbing of our recycled homes last year. We also closed on a $1.6 million PPP loan to help cover a lot of our necessary expenses, especially when the restores weren't generating any income. Most importantly, I would say we ended the fiscal year with, and we continue to have, a very healthy balance sheet. I attribute much of that success to our very generous donors, to our homeowners who have struggled to make their monthly mortgage payments, to our committed restore shoppers, and to our staff who have gone without pay increases and have had a temporary stop to the retirement matching funds. So thank you all for quite a fiscal year 20. And I will kick it over to Bob.
Hey, thanks, Beth. So I had the pleasure of joining Habitat Charlotte and the construction team March 30th of this year, 2 weeks into the pandemic. So the virtual world is kind of my world right now, and that's how I've onboarded. And unfortunately, we can't build houses virtually, so we've had to learn to adapt to a lot of different technology and a lot of different challenges. So when the pandemic hit in mid-March, we took our construction staff of 20 plus 10 AmeriCorps, and we formed what we called 5 super teams. We kept building. This allowed us to complete 14 homes from mid-March to the end of June. So a huge shout out to the construction folks, the family services, to finish those homes and to successfully move those families in the midst of a pandemic. So it's really helpful to have a home to shelter in during these times. Our volunteers were greatly impacted. Their assistance was essentially suspended in mid-March as well. In July, we're starting, but slowly but surely, having volunteers return, our regular volunteers. So that's impacted construction, and especially how we finished last year. The last quarter was done primarily by staff and AmeriCorps, and a lot of partnerships with subcontractors in the region. In our existing home or recycled homes division, our purchasing was really impacted as well. So we were on a great track when the pandemic struck, so we slowed down in our purchasing. One huge thing that happened was executing a contract with the city of Charlotte, which allows us to continue to buy and rehab existing houses to continue to create more affordable housing in Charlotte. That also allowed us to keep our dedicated staff team of 5 working in the existing home market. Critical home repair was also greatly impacted. All of our site supervisors shifted over to new construction in mid-March until about Memorial Day, when they started coming back into critical home at about 50% strength. So we started again in critical home repairs around Memorial Day. July 1st, we were able to begin again at 100% strength. So a great accomplishment there. Another huge aspect, I think, to 2020 was we started construction on a townhome on Plaza Walk at Cityside. So this is our first townhome project in, I think, over 8 years. And as I talk about a little bit about our goals for 2021 fiscal year, townhome construction will be a big part of our future. The merger really helped us strengthen the construction group. So with the combined team, it gives us great confidence to meet our 2021 production goals. So let's talk a little bit, if you want to go to the next slide, Alex, how we finished last year. So new construction, we actually had 39 starts, 23 starts in existing homes, and 82 in critical home repair. So construction usually talks in terms of starts because due to the length of time for construction, closings and so forth obviously take time after that. So those numbers, as Nakia talks about, will probably vary slightly. So if you want to go to the next. So construction goals for 2021. New construction is 46 starts, and we're really happy about that. That's about a 27% growth. And so we will build 32 single-family homes and 14 multi-family homes in 3 distinct projects. Existing homes, 24 starts, so about a 4% growth there. Critical home repair has a huge jump with 126 starts. And these are projects that are averaging about $31,500 each. So that represents a 53% growth. If you want to go to the next slide, in land development and acquisition, a huge project for us as we start the new year, Morris Field. So Morris Field is almost a 9-acre site at 4201 Morris Field, which is right off Wilkinson Boulevard. This project's going to be about twice the size of Red Vest Way with 47 homes. Total project cost is expected to be about $6.7 million. Funding will come from community development block grants, shop, grant funds, in-kind material donations, private donors, and of course, Habitat for Humanity of the Charlotte region. The next step in the project is to hire a civil engineer. The Land Acquisition and Development Committee is currently evaluating proposals from 6 engineering firms. So we were really fortunate to get a great response from our RFQ. The board's executive committee will approve the selection in September and will begin immediately in the design. So construction of the infrastructure, we're expected to begin next summer, July 2021, and that'll take about a year. And then that will allow home construction to begin in summer of 2022. So a really exciting development for this next fiscal year. But, you know, we're not without some challenges, as the next slide will show. Lumber prices, as you probably read about in the newspaper, here on the radio, are going through the roof right now. Pre-COVID, we would spend about $5,000 on a typical lumber package on one of our, the average size floor plan. In today's market, we're paying anywhere from $6,500 to about $6,900 for that same lumber package. So about a 38% increase. Oriented strand board, or you might refer to it as OSB board, has doubled and tripled in that same time frame. So it's greatly affecting how we do business. Mel Ressler from our construction team has moved over into the procurement side. And so she's doing a great job in staying in front of these trends. We're working to pre-purchase, to stockpile, anything to stay out in front and to beat these prices. But that does represent a challenge. Availability of materials is really prevalent through everything that we do, from appliances to flooring. It impacts each and every step of our construction. And lastly, probably the biggest challenge, and if you want to go to the final slide here, is we greatly miss our volunteers. You know, last year, I think we had 10,000 volunteers. As we start this year, we're only able to start with about 40 regular volunteers in construction. And I know Caitlin's going to probably talk about volunteers in Restore. But that's a far cry from the numbers that we had pre-COVID. So most of the construction that we're doing is done by staff, AmeriCorps, and the limited numbers of regular volunteers that we have. So we're subcontracting a lot of work, which is impacting our pricing as well. It's impacting scheduling. So each quarter is really kind of a new day as we move into each phase of the recovery in the governor's plan. We hope to continue to add more and more volunteers back, and we anxiously await the day when we can get back to full strength. So with that, I think it's time to turn it over to Shannon to hear her report on development.
All right. How's my sound, Alex? I was having some technical difficulties, everybody, so apologies. I'm Shannon Henson, Vice President. Thank you. Vice President of Organizational Advancement and Development. So my team, my incredible team, oversees development, volunteer services, marketing communications, international partnerships, and advocacy, also public or government expense-based grants. So we had a phenomenal year. Really, the merging of Legacy Our Towns and Legacy Charlotte just brought together a really incredible group of dedicated staff that have a real commitment to this mission. And not only staff, a really great group of board members, which we've since merged, volunteers, supporters, and just great community interest. And we're really excited to see what lies ahead there. But we did have to merge our teams. We had staff that we integrated, and we're working on what that looks like across the work that we're doing. We've created some new roles in a new Faith Relations staff person, which we're excited to welcome Zach to our team. And some of you may hear from him in the future. COVID-19 really did have a dramatic impact on fundraising, but we did get a lot of emergency funding due to COVID. So we're really, really grateful for our community partners that either unrestricted their dollars so that we could use them where the need was the greatest during the time where we were pivoting, and also to those specifically giving to COVID. We raised about $351,000 in COVID emergency funding and an additional $180,000 so far in mortgage relief funding on a $250,000 goal that we are still working on. We did receive a multi-year commitment from our friends at Lowe's, which we have a great, our towns and Charlotte historically had both had a great relationship with Lowe's, and we did receive a $1.6 million commitment across multiple years from Lowe's, of which we're really grateful. Bob touched on the volunteer piece, and we are very sad and devastated not to have our volunteers and the energy that our volunteers bring and the commitment they bring. They are very much family and part of our organization. We have not had group or occasional volunteers since March, just working with our regular volunteers and some in the Restore, which we're very grateful for people who are excited and want to come back in that capacity. We did a volunteer survey project through UNC Charlotte. We've done this a couple of times. We're able to do it every 3 years. And we did the survey with both Legacy Charlotte and Legacy Our Towns to see about volunteer satisfaction and communication and how we can do a better job. And across the board, we had great responses from our volunteers. So we're really proud of our volunteers and staff and our families and how they all work together to help fulfill our mission. It's been mentioned, Red Best Way, but on the volunteer side, we are incredibly grateful that our first raw land development project came to a successful conclusion after a lot of kind of a rocky start, if you will, with lots of rain and not being able to pave the road for months to get in there. But it really has turned out to be a beautiful neighborhood. And thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters and volunteers, staff and families that came together to make that project such a great success. On the marketing communication side, before we merged, and that became official in July of last year, up until the merger, we took on the marketing communications for the affiliate and for the restores for Legacy Our Towns. And so kudos to the marketing communications team for doing great work there. We have since launched 2 new websites, new restore website and new habitatcltregion.org website. I hope you'll check those out. We're working on the donor experience, the homeowner experience, the volunteer experience, and just really improving that. So we'd love to hear any of your comments and feedback on our website. We also finished the year 1 pilot of a collaborative donor marketing project with Habitat International. We'll see how it goes, everybody, but we're working really hard to be collaborative. We're one of 15 affiliates that have stepped forward. And again, I think it shows we're a great leader in the affiliate world. But again, just working through some bumps. You know, it is a pilot, but we're entering in year 2 with a lot of good energy, and hopefully it'll go well. Next slide, Alex. On the public grants and advocacy side, we did receive $1 million in new funding from Mecklenburg County for our critical home repair program, which is really exciting. That came as a result of great relationship building and great work and the reputation that we have in the community. So really excited about that and the fact that it'll be continuing. We did launch a cost of home national advocacy campaign through Habitat International, and we've been focusing locally on how we can live that out. Some of the things we've been working on locally are source of income discrimination and the Homestead Act at the Homestead Tax Exemption Act at the state level. International partnerships. Another incredible thing about the merger is that we now have 3 international partners: El Salvador, Cambodia, and Guatemala. We look forward to the time we can pick those trips back up. But we did accomplish 3 trips in the fiscal year before the pandemic hit. We also have really strong tithing. It's a priority for our organization, and we are creeping up on the $8 million mark for tithing overall, which is we'll be the first affiliate to hit that. So a lot of praise again to our supporters and to our board and our staff that just feel so strongly about keeping that a priority for our organization. Let's look to the next slide for next year. We've had to pivot pretty dramatically. Some of you on the line I know have attended virtual events that we've been having. So we are continuing our tours that we do monthly. We call them our homegrown tours. We have staff who get to talk about what's going on in our programming, but we do them online now. And we're excited to have everyone that's participated. And if you're interested in that, that information is available at our website. We also had a virtual Women Build. You may know that Charlotte Women Build started with the Charlotte affiliate. Next year will be 30 years. And we're doing it virtually this year. So no volunteers out on site, but we are looking for volunteers to help raise funds to keep that home going and keep it strong for Miss Deborah, and really excited about getting that going here soon. We are still raising additional COVID relief funding, as I mentioned before, so that's still a priority for us. And we do have a gala that we do every year. The last 4 years, our Blue Jean Bash, we raised over $1 million for affordable housing solutions out of this affiliate. We're going to do the 5th annual event online. So October 8th, we hope you'll join us. I think I have a slide about that at the end. Volunteers, Bob mentioned, we are having to sub out a lot more, missing our volunteers. Volunteers do really help to keep our costs down, and we're experiencing about a $22,000 per home increase without volunteers. We're also looking at unique volunteer experiences that we can host virtually. I mentioned marketing communications. We've got those new websites. We're looking at sharing more homeowner information and homeowner stories. We're going to do some e-commerce for the Restore. We have an online portal for homeowners to make payments. And we're looking at starting a new Habitat Women's Affinity group out of our rebooted marketing communications committee. So we're really excited about that. I think I have one quick update about public grants and advocacy. We've increased to about $3 million, nearly doubled in the last couple of years for the public grants. Some of that's come from this great merger that we've had. House Bill 1200, we are supporting that through Habitat at the state level. This is to support foreclosure prevention for housing and keeping, during a crisis, what could be a crisis for financial crisis. We want to make sure to support that bill. More information if you're interested. And of course, we're keeping up and supporting collaboratively source of income discrimination. I mentioned these other things about the $8 million in Tide that we're doing on international, and we also have just recently revitalized our Tide committee, our international relations committee, so we're excited about that. Last but not least, I'll put it out there. Please do join us on Thursday, October 8th at 7 p.m. for the Blue Jean Bash. You can go to our website and sign up to attend the event starting next week, or you can reach out to me for more information. We need auction items. We need people online being really excited that night. We'll also have a Fund the Mission. We'll have great speakers, including featuring some of our wonderful partner families. So look forward to seeing you then. And now on to Nakia.
Thank you, Shannon. Happy Holiday Friday, everyone. I am filling in for my awesome VP of Family Services, Gerald Wright, who is enjoying some much needed vacation time. My name is Nakia Savage. I am the Director of Family Selection here. So I wanted to just kind of talk about what some of our goals were for last year, what our actual totals were, and then where we're headed. So for those of you who may not be aware, Family Services consists of the Family Selection Department, Critical Home Repair, mortgage servicing, neighborhood revitalization, as well as expanded education. So we've got a lot going on over here in Family Services. Last year, fiscal year 20, we served 35 families through new construction, 14 through our existing homes program, 2 in our open market homes program, 4 through our conditional waiver option, 71 through critical home repair, and 65 in our Money Matters education program. So we are looking to increase the number of family serves in this upcoming fiscal year by 45%. So we will be looking to serve 46 families in new construction, 17 in existing homes, 10 in open market, 8 for conditional waivers, and a really big jump in critical home repair to 126, as well as serving 85 families in Money Matters. You go to the next slide, Alex. So the big theme I feel that we've all kind of experienced is just an attitude of resilience as an affiliate. So I, really would say that our team, as well as we all, but we really ended the year strong. We ended last fiscal year with 106 families in our HIP pipeline. And for those of you who aren't aware of what HIP is, that is our acronym for Homeowners in Process. So these are families who have already been pre-approved to participate in our home buyer program, and they're in process. They're either doing their education or starting their sweat equity. We ended our critical home repair pipeline year with 89 families there. And then we approved 109 families in critical home repair and 59 for home buyer last year. So that was pretty awesome. And then at the bottom of the slide, we wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that happened right after pandemic. We moved 14 families into their homes between March and June, which was a huge feat. So kudos to the team for working so hard on doing that. 29 families between both programs were approved also between March and June. 15 loans were closed. And all of our programs went virtual: homebuyer orientation, HIP class, lot selection, as well as family visits for CHR. So as everyone said, we had to make a very, very huge pivot from being primarily an in-person manual operation to virtual, which was difficult for some of our partner families, but they kind of jumped on board, and we tried to make it as easy as possible as we all kind of learned and grew through all of the changes. Another really big thing that kind of happened just in the nick of time is that our homebuyer our homebuyer process applications went online. Historically, that has always been a paper manual process. But just in the nick of time in January, we went to an online application process. And between January and June, we had 2 cycles in which we received upwards of 700 applications. So that was another huge feat. And I think that the timeliness was just unprecedented. Who would have thought that we would not be able to receive people in person, when we started this process last year? So it's allowed people to still be able to participate in our program. We have not done that for critical home repair as of yet, but we do make sure people can get our information online. They can also do referrals online. Another pivot that we had to make for our mortgage servicing area, which many of you may be wondering about, is how did we service those who may have been experiencing some type of loss or displacement during the pandemic. So March 1st, we implemented a no adverse action policy. So we did not charge late fees, no NSF bank fees, no foreclosures, and no adverse credit reporting. We also worked very closely with some of our external partners for resources such as crisis assistance, Commonwealth, places like that to assist our homeowners who were having some troubles dealing with COVID. So that's all I have for family services.
Which brings it to last but not least, we have Caitlin Greenwell over in the restores.
Hey all, I am Caitlin Greenwell and I am in charge of operations for our retail side. So I oversee everything from our logistics department, which is all the trucks that run and do donation pickups. I oversee our deconstruction program, which is cash removal and resell, Julia's Cafe and Books, all 7 restores, and procurement in general, which is going to be our business relations essentially within the community, working with all the businesses that donate goods to the restores. A lot of people wonder what the restores actually are. If you haven't ever visited one, it is a treasure that you should find, treasure being the key word because it is a treasure hunt all in itself. The restores are a fundraising arm of the organization. The net profits from the stores goes back into Habitat Charlotte region, and it's part of the funding that we utilize for building houses within the Charlotte region. So every dollar that is spent within the restores, those net profits are used directly back into the community. So if you've never been to a restore and you have always thought about how you can impact your community, just shopping with us is a great way to do that. And we went through the merge earlier this year. We joined 2 wonderful retail teams into one, made one great family. We have been lucky enough to join 2 just groups of incredible people that care about the mission very deeply and care about our volunteers, HIPs, customers, community to an incredible degree. And we have come out stronger because of it. If there is one thing that COVID gave us, it was the ability to put our retail teams together and give them the ability to work together and get to know each other, share ideas, and come together on how the restore should look and going forward. We hosted a number of volunteer events pre-COVID. Volunteers are a huge asset to us. They're part of our family. We appreciate them more than can really truly be expressed. The same with our homeowners. They're a great benefit to us. Whether you're volunteering individually, whether you're a homeowner in process, whether you're working with a group and coming in just for an afternoon, it makes a huge impact on the organization, and our teams appreciate every minute that people can provide us with. So giving back and being able to just spend some time out of the stores and out in the community with our volunteers was wonderful. It was a way for us to really revisit how we engage our volunteers and how we thank them for all the hard work that they give us. We also did some engagement surveys with the community to find out how we can better the restores. So we took the time both in store and online to send out some surveys to the community to find out exactly how we can continue to improve, what we could change, as bring in some different products. And we got some really great feedback. So if anyone on this call took part in those surveys, thank you for the feedback. Every bit of feedback we get helps us continue to grow and change how we operate. So thank you very much if you were part of that. We've also put a lot of focus into online marketing, being able to reach and show the community frequently what we're offering and what we've got going on within the stores. So if you're not already following us, make sure you're following the Charlotte Region Restores on both Instagram and Facebook. Get a lot of great comments and feedback, pictures and videos going up on there all the time. Feel free to share with us anytime you flip a project out of the restores, buy that table, refinish it. Definitely share that with us. We love to see what our donors and customers are doing with the products they pick up in the stores. You truly never know what you'll find walking up and down the aisles. It changes every single day. So definitely give us a visit if you haven't already done so. We spent a lot of time also working with our community partners to try to develop more and more relationships with some of the large businesses in the area in order to supply more and more product in the restores. So for us, working with some of the larger industries in the area that maybe have discontinued product or product that they're not going to be able to sell, instead of it going to a landfill or somewhere else along those lines, we bring it into the stores and we sell it. Many times it's new product. It's just either a line that's no longer being carried or just some items that they need to move out of the way. And that benefit goes directly into our community. You're able to find some brand new items, some really great quality products. And what we're trying to focus on now is finding those large businesses to help keep the landfill less full, truly. That's one of the big things about the restores is that we do divert tons and tons and tons of items from the landfills yearly. And we're able to supply some great products out into the community and again, fund more houses. Again, COVID did take a hit on us. We closed all 7 stores mid-March through mid-May. So it was a big hit to the restores. It was hard for us to, number one, be away from our community for that long, our donors, our customers, our volunteers, our HIPs. But we felt it was necessary for the safety of our team and for the safety of our community to stand firm on not reopening until it was proper to do so. During the time that we were closed, we were able to continue to sell our books online through Amazon. So if you've ever visited our Amazon store, which is Book Builders, you can find all sorts of great titles on there. And we received a lot of support in that area. So again, if you purchased a book from Book Builders during your quarantine time or are still looking to find some books, that's a great place to do it. One of the big things that we did, like I said, safety is a big priority for us. We created some great safety plans for the stores. In the beginning, we did not immediately welcome volunteers back because we wanted to make sure that we got our safety right from the start. And we felt comfortable pretty quickly after reopening, saying that we would bring back some of our longtime volunteers just to help stabilize the stores. We started opening just limited amounts of stores at a time. Staffing has been a big piece of the puzzle for us, as it does take a lot more staff in order to operate the stores with the safety measures that we do have in place. But again, safety is our biggest priority, not only for our staff, but for our customers. So at this point, we are back up to 6 out of 7 stores. They do have limited days and hours on them, but we will be opening the Statesville store this month, so keep an eye out for that coming. We have finally added on a wonderful candidate to help us get that Statesville store staffed properly and ready to be opened. Our Pineville, University, and Statesville stores are going to be open less hours than Wendover, Mooresville, and Wilkinson. That is temporary. We hope to eventually get back up to full speed, but it is going to depend on the safety and security of the stores, as well as just staffing and making sure that we're able to provide the customer service that we feel is necessary in order to open our doors. We have reinstated donation pickups, so if you've been sitting on some items and need us to come pick them up, please feel free to give us a call at our donations hotline or get online and put in a donations request. The stores are performing very well. So again, if you've been in to visit us and support us, we really, really appreciate it. We projected some less than stellar numbers just as everyone came back into the community and got comfortable being back out and shopping, but the support that we have seen since reopening our stores has been incredible. So thank you so much for taking part. We hope that you have found some great treasures and also have felt very safe while you've been in our stores. Next year is going to be a great one. We are looking forward to hopefully online shopping, so keep an eye out for an online store as we slowly start to launch that. And we will continue to work on those hours and days so that we can see you all more and more often.
Awesome. So we are now at the questions part of our program. As a reminder, you can ask questions. I believe the control panel pops up to the right. It may be on the left for some people, but you can ask it in that question section, and we will start working our way through. Shannon, I believe this is a question for you, but anyone can pipe into this. Someone asked if you could give a brief description of the merger with Our Towns, because they're not completely familiar with it.
Okay. So the merger was effective, I think, officially February 29th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Beth, on the paperwork. You know, there's a long history and respect there with Our Towns, Habitat, and Legacy Charlotte. You know, lots of great, with both of the most recent 2 executive leaders of Legacy, Our Towns, and our CEO of Laura Belcher, lots of great conversation and talk of collaboration for many years. The boards talking together about how we could better partner and serve the community. And so I think it just made a lot of sense in, you know, as conversations went on through the years. Like I mentioned in my update, we started last July doing the shared services for marketing communications for the restores and the affiliate. We started a few months later doing the mortgage processing, handling of mortgage receivables for the Legacy Our Towns portfolio. And I think we just started to really realize the synergy, you know, and the efficiencies that could really benefit people who need affordable housing solutions. And so the conversations just escalated, and both boards were, really excited about it, and a lot of due diligence was done, and it just was the time and made a lot of sense for the two organizations to come together, and as Alex said, to come together to truly be, by many measures, whether it's production, whether it's our budget, however, several ways you look at it, we are in the top 3 to 4 affiliate out of 1,200 affiliates in the United States. So, and the great thing that, we know will happen is that we estimate about $600,000 in savings on an annual basis because of the efficiencies that we'll gain over time. So that's, a lot of money to go back in, $6 million over the next 10 years that can go back in directly to serving families who need affordable housing solutions. So it's great. And again, 2 strong affiliates coming together to make an even better and stronger one to support the Charlotte region.
Bob, I have a question for you, although I'm sure Beth could also probably chime in on this question. At this point in time, what is the cost of a home when we factor in the lack of volunteers on site?
Yeah, so, we tend to talk in averages because we have about 10 home plans that are unique. And so those are all different sizes and shapes and configurations. Each lot is typically calculated in the cost of a home as well. And so lot pricing is going to be different as well. But in general, we look at about $150,000 per house, 20,000 of which would be dedicated to the land and its development. So the house itself, somewhere around 130,000 plus 20 for land.
And let's see. Questions keep reordering themselves as they come in. That's an exciting feature. Nakia, can you explain what the conditional waiver program is?
Sure. So with that program, a current Habitat for Humanity homeowner sells to a qualified buyer who is at 80% or lower as far as HUD area median income. So then we waive our right of first refusal because they're selling within the parameters of the families that we serve.
And then while we're talking to you and you have your microphone unmuted, do you have an idea on when the next homeowner application process will open?
My idea is that it'll be this month.
Oh, perfect.
At some point.
Usually that's a lot more of a question that they don't have an answer to. So I'm glad that that one had an answer.
Yeah.
So this is a question that is coming from a staff member. So I have a feeling that I might know the answer to it. But which Habitat for Humanity affiliate tithed the most last fiscal year? Yeah.
I didn't hear the last part of it. Which Habitat affiliate? What was the?
Tithed the most in fiscal year 20.
Hired the most? I missed that part. I'm sorry. Clearly, I can't answer it because I didn't. I don't understand the question. Sorry.
Which Habitat affiliate tithed the most?
Tithe.
Tithe.
Sorry, it's a hard word to say, and then going through a microphone, I don't think it works.
I don't know. I mean, I think we were in the running. I mean, for what we tithed last year. I mean, I know we're pulling ahead as the largest tither in the affiliate world, getting to that 7 because we're at the 7.8. But this is from Eleanor, and she just read the report, so I know she's up on her statistics. Watching you, lady.
I was gonna say the smiley face in the question kind of
zinger
hinted to that, but let me keep scrolling. Do we know when volunteers will be allowed back on site? And I guess also in the resource as well.
Well, we have some already on site. We have, 40 of what we would call regular volunteers on the construction side that who are used to working with specific site supervisors. So they've been welcome back. We also have a number of folks who volunteer at our warehouse who make, house components, and they're already back. I think some of the church groups and so forth, we were waiting to hear back on the governor's phasing plan, but I think those are, Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're looking at some of those coming back towards the end of the month.
There are some restrictions in place from Habitat International, some safety guidelines that they have mandated that all affiliates should follow. And so we're just kind of following those guidelines and taking into consideration state mandates as well. So the time, we have no definite time frame, I guess, at this point. We have not made an announcement on or made a decision on that. But there are many factors in there. So as soon as we absolutely, it's possible and allowable by all the best practices or requirements, we will definitely be bringing volunteers back.
And we've started to in the restores as well. Some of our main concern is just making sure that we're able to maintain social distancing and making sure that our safety is in place. So for us, we are somewhat limited on our spatial requirements within the back rooms, and we appreciate everyone that has been able to return, but we try to keep pretty good tabs on how many people we have in a building and in close proximity at any time. We want to make sure that we can always maintain social distancing.
Bob, do you know when you expect to break ground on the Morris Field development?
Sure. So infrastructure wise, the grading, sewer, all the stuff below grade, we would expect next summer in July. We're not entirely sure on whether it'll be one massive development or if we phase some of that infrastructure, allowing us to go vertical earlier, but tend to think in terms of summer of 21 for infrastructure, summer of 22 to begin house construction.
Nakia, I'm combining a lot of homeowner questions into one. Where can people go to get more information on the homeownership process, like applications, what people need to apply, things of that nature?
Oh, that's a great question. Because thanks to our wonderful Marcom team, we have a new and improved website. So you can go to www.habitatcltregion.org. There's a top tab that says services, and the drop down, you will see home ownership. That's going to give you everything that you need. There's also a tab within that page that you can click to find out all you need to know before you apply. Yeah, so that's where people will go. Everything's out there.
Perfect.
Also, Alex, now I don't know how people can get to the podcast, but if people want to listen to a podcast that Alex recently did that talked about our home ownership process, that's another good way for people to get information.
It is. I didn't even have to put that plug in. It's usually me being like podcast. Yeah. So I believe that seems like it's the end of the questions. If we did not answer your question or it was not a specific answer and you're like, I need more information, feel free in the follow-up email that will get sent from GoToWebinar. You can reply directly to that email and it will go to me. And I will make sure that if I cannot answer the question, that I will get it to one of these guys who can. Please keep in mind it is a holiday weekend. And a lot of these lovely people are here specifically to help out today. And then they're going on an extended vacation as well. So please keep that in mind. It might take a few extra days. On the screen right now, we do have all of our social media links, including our website. And that's where you can get more information on homeownership. And also for the podcast, we are on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Spotify, iTunes. Apparently you can listen to it when you just say, hey, Alexa, I want to listen to a podcast, which nifty technology. It is called Habitat, and I will post that in a follow-up email as well. And as we end, I just want to say thank you again to everyone for joining us. Thank you again to Beth, Bob, Shannon, Nakia, and Caitlin for joining me on this holiday weekend. Yeah, I look forward to seeing all of you again here next month. So, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.